Hello everybody.
Hello.
And Sam's along with me.
Yeah.
Grandad here and Sam, and today we're going to do a little bit of chemistry with you.
Yeah.
Now what we've got is an idea I got off of YouTube to create a silver penny. Well, it's not actually a penny, it's an American coin called a 1 cent. Now this is a 1 cent penny. They call them pennies over in America, I think. Now the interesting thing about these pennies is that although they look coppery, and I've cleaned this one up to make it look shiny, they're shiny coppery colour, but inside, after 1982, they actually made the core of them, the inside of these pennies, out of a different metal. They made it out of zinc. Now, I've done an experiment once before where I got some of these pennies, or cents, and I filed away at the side a little bit and put them in hydrochloric acid.
It stinks of egg.
It does stink of egg. Yeah. And I put them in hydrochloric acid to dissolve the nickel inside, and you end up with a hollow penny. Now that was quite interesting. Now I couldn't actually find them when I was going to do this video, but I have done that before, and it works quite well just with a bit of muriatic acid, I think they call it, but it's hydrochloric acid, or spirits of salts we call it in England, and it dissolves the inside out of this coin, and you end up with an empty shell, which is quite interesting. And they'll actually float on water then because they're so light. So all there is a copper coating on top of this zinc penny. Now, unfortunately, because I'm not able to edit videos very good and join them together or fast forward and things like that, this particular video takes about half an hour to do. So I wasn't able to do that. So what I've done to compensate for that, I thought I'd do the experiment and the final part of it, which I've got in this saucepan that's boiling here. So we'll see that in a minute. So what I'm going to do is, to do these pennies, what you need is a thing called slate lime or calcium hydroxide.
Grandad, where'd you get these things from?
Well, that's the trouble. I haven't got any. I haven't bought any, and I get them from all over the place. But I made this out of.
Made it?
Yeah, actually, I didn't. I've run out of slate lime, so in order to get some more, I used a bit of calcium carbide that I put in my carbide lamps, and put it in water. And what you're left with after that process has come and you got rid of the acetylene gas, you're left with slate lime. So I was able to use the slate lime for this particular experiment. Now, because I've run out, I can't show you the bit where I put the slate lime in, but there is a little bit left in this jar. So if we imagine that I've put about half a gram of slate lime inside this water that I've got here. Now the other thing you need is sulfur. Now in here I've got about 2 grams of sulfur. Now I'm going to put that into the beaker as well. Now as you can see, when I stir it up, the sulfur doesn't want to mix in. So in order to help it mix in, you put a little bit of dish soap. Now this is just ordinary dish soap that you use for doing the washing up. You put a little squirt of that in, and that means that the breaks the surface tension on the water and allows the sulfur to dissolve, or as much as it will dissolve, into the liquid of slate lime. Now all this happened about half an hour ago. Now I've just mixed that up now just to show you how it's done, but of course I didn't have enough slate lime to show you me putting the lime in, but there was a little bit of limey water there, so that hopefully will compensate for that. Now once you've got that, and you've got the right pennies, because you have to have pennies that were minted after 1982, as I said. This particular penny was before that, so this is all copper. But the penny that's in the mixture here, because what you have to do, once you put the mixture together, you cook it on this stove. And it's been cooking here, I'll just switch it off now, it's been cooking here for about half an hour. And obviously the liquid in there is quite hot. Now, I'm wearing all my safety gear, and even though I've got Sam alongside me, he hasn't got any safety gear on, but there's nothing really dangerous going on here. But before I started and before Sam actually arrived, I was doing a little bit of this experimenting, and in this pan that I got here, previously I'd been making some fuses out of potassium nitrate and sugar, and I mixed it in this pan. Now unfortunately I was a bit lazy and I didn't clean the pan out properly, so that when I put it onto this second experiment with this jar, want to be on video?
Oh, no, not really.
Well, you are going to be in if you come here because we're videoing.
Shopping. Are you going to stay?
But
I'll see you with Grandad then.
I put it on to cook,
I'll see you in a minute then, Ma.
and
Love you.
I left it for a while, and when it got up to about 200 degrees, in order to make this liquid boil, it actually burst into flames on me. So it was a good job I had all my safety gear on, because it exploded with quite a surprise, and I wasn't actually videoing that, otherwise it would have been a really good video of something going wrong. But it just goes to show, when you're doing any of these things, make sure you clean all your equipment, and make sure that you stand back from your experiments and wear your goggles. I've got my goggles in my pocket here, which I'll put on now, because although this is finished and I've turned off, I wear the glasses, and Sam's standing well back so he can see what's going on. Now the next process, oh, incidentally, when I looked at this video on YouTube, it wasn't my idea. It was actually the idea of another YouTuber, and unfortunately I'm not quite sure what his name is to give him the credit for this video, but if I just look here on my list, no, wait a minute, I've lost it. Now, this is what always happens to me. I always move and I lose things.
Maybe they come alive and then they just
Well, my page is gone
go away.
where I was doing this.
Yeah, that's good.
Otherwise I would give credit to the man who no, I can't find it. You haven't got an actual name. It was rather strange. His I don't know what his name was, and I've got it here. He only uses letters for his name. It was K off something or other, but I can't think what it was. But I'm sorry about that. But if I find it, I'll put the comment in the description of this video, and giving him the credit for telling me how to do this. Now, while I was looking at his video, some people had commented that that this was a way of doing it, but there was also another way, using some other chemicals. So I thought, while I'm doing this one, I'd try and see whether this other way of doing it. Now, it didn't give very much detail on just how to carry out this experiment, but it said that you use hydrogen peroxide, so I've got some here, and I didn't have too much, which was a nuisance, and ammonia. Now, it didn't tell you just how to go about how much quantity, or how to mix it, or what to put it in, or whether you had to make it hot or anything, I don't know. So, but anyway, I mixed up a little solution, and I put it in this little jar here.
Blue. It's blue.
And yes, Sam's just remarked, when I put it together, it was a clear liquid. But now, after I've had this penny soaking in it for a little while, and I'll bring it out now just to show you.
It's got a penny on it.
It's got a penny on it, and what it's done,
Is that
it certainly has cleaned up the
Is that a
penny.
1p?
No, it's an American penny. It's a cent, an American coin. It's not a penny. It's not one of our pennies. It's not a British penny. It's an American coin. Now, it has cleaned up this 1 cent. Now, what I try and do, I've only put it half in the liquid because I thought it might be quite a good idea just to take the coating off half the penny so you could see it as it's supposed to be with its copper coating and the zinc cover underneath. If it worked. So I put that in there, and the water has turned bright blue. I don't know whether you can see that, but if you look at that, you can see that it's turned very blue. So it's certainly cleaned the coin up. Now, whether it's strong enough, I didn't have a lot of peroxide to use on this particular experiment. I was a bit out of it, the same way as I'm out of slate lime. I run out of things and don't replace them. And then I decide to do a video and I haven't got the equipment, which is a bit naughty of me, but I like to try and do it. Anyway, so that's going ahead. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't work, but it's been in there for about half an hour, and although the water's turned blue, it's certainly dissolving the copper off that penny. How long you'd have to leave it in there before it completely stripped all the copper off, I don't know. Now, the next point about this experiment, as I said, I've had it cooking on here for about half an hour, and I'm going to take it out now. I'm going to tip out my residue into the bowl at the back here, and it's turned really brown and horrible colour, and my penny's in there.
Your penny.
Well, I keep calling it a penny, but it's actually a cent. It's an American cent. There he is.
Oh,
Now, I've tipped him out,
Where is he? Where's he?
and as you can see, he's turned very black.
Where's he? You must go and find him.
Now, I'm not sure that I'm not too concerned about that, because he said it would turn black. Now, in order to clean it up, you have to use some scouring powder. Now, I've got a little bit of scouring powder here in this Jif container, and I'm just going to rub it onto this coin
Well done, Grandad.
to see if I can remove this black tarnish which is built up during the cooking of this coin in my liquid. Now, as I say, I'm not sure how well this is going to work, but already I can see that there's a change in the colour of this coin. And I'll just get a little bit more of the Jif and put it on. Now, as I say, the chap that showed this on YouTube how to do it said that it wasn't easy to clean off the copper coating. Even though you'd taken it all off, you needed to work quite hard on the coin, and he may have even used a little buffing wheel or something. But there's certainly, the black is now coming off with this scouring powder, and I can see that the colour of the coin has changed. The copper seems to have worn off. Now, as I said, my slate lime wasn't the slate lime that I was going to buy. It was actually made from calcium carbide, by putting the calcium carbide in and dissolving it in water to get rid of the acetylene gas, and then you're left with calcium carbide. But this coin now,
Liquid onto the coin.
I'm putting a little bit of scouring powder on, Sam, to try and clean off the black, because the coin is now turned
Black.
well, it's turned black, but I'm trying to clean off the black with this scouring powder. Now, I've got some tissues here, and obviously this video's gone on for about 13 minutes.
13 minutes.
Yeah, and people get a bit bored waiting.
That's not really long, is it?
That's not very long, but people get bored waiting for videos to finish, so I didn't want to leave it too long. But yes, I can definitely say this coin has changed colour. It's no longer copper. So this method of stripping the copper, well, it's the inside metal, which is zinc, and zinc is silver, like a silver sixpence or something. So it's now turned silvery instead. Well, once I get the black off, it'll be silvery. Now, I've obviously got to do a little bit more work on this. I'll take off my glasses now because they're falling off my face anyway. And as there's nothing dangerous going to happen here now with this.
No, you're just cleaning something.
I'm just cleaning up something.
Nothing could go wrong.
Hopefully nothing could go wrong. Unless I get a bit of Jif in my eye or something. But I can see now that this has actually worked.
Working. It worked.
It has worked.
Yay.
And what I'm left with now is just the oxidized copper on the surface of this coin. And what I will do is perhaps get out my little Dremel buffing wheel
What do you
and
mean
clean
by
this
that?
coin up.
What the heck do you mean by that?
By what?
Drumming buffing wheel.
Well, a Dremel is a little drill, and the buffing wheel is a way of cleaning. Now, the one side of this is a little bit more difficult to clean than the other side, and that was presumably because it was lying flat on that side in the dish there. And I left it, as I say, for half an hour.
Let's see
And,
the coin now.
But if you look at this, if you come around here, Sam, and you have a little look, you're just coming into the side there, and I clean it up a little bit more.
Oh, that has turned silver.
That has turned silver. Now I'll take my gloves off, because it's a little bit awkward to hold coins
With gloves on,
with these safety gloves on.
obviously.
But you can see, that was the colour, and I hope it's not too dark for you to see, that was the colour of the original coin when it was a copper coin. And now, I hope you can see that it's turned quite silvery. So now I have a silver penny coin, or a silver cent, an American coin. So this has actually
That's
worked.
cool.
So I'm very pleased with that.
Very cool.
And as I say, the other way of doing it, using the peroxide, looks as if that's going to work as well, because the colour is definitely wearing away at the copper
Yeah.
and turning blue.
Yeah, I definitely see that.
So I'm going to call this a successful video, because it did work, even though I wasn't able to show exactly how it happened, but I've told you everything that I did. And hopefully, if you want to try it for yourself, you can do. But just make sure you've got the right coins that have got the centre. After 1982, they've got the zinc core, which you can use.
And you need some equipment as well, like Grandad's got.
Oh yeah, you need all your safety equipment, because you never know quite what's going to happen. As I said, I got some flames coming out of my jug, which I didn't expect. And that was because I didn't clean it out properly. But anyway, that's worked. So until next time, there's Sam and me saying the usual sign-off sign of bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sam's waving as well. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Till next time.